I'm Rachel Dworkin for the Chemung County Historical Society. I'm here at the Newfield Fire Station as part of the Finger Lakes Finn Anniversary Program on September 16th, 2018, and I am here interviewing
Lisa Beck.
Thank you. So you had said that you grew up in Brooklyn, but you spent your summers here. How did that happen?
Okay, I grew up in Finntown in Sunset Park in Brooklyn, and my mom was born on Schaefer Road in Newfield, and she moved to Finntown when she was 17 years old in Brooklyn, and she married my dad, who was from Finland. And she always said when my sister and I were growing up that we would not spend our summers in the city. And so we would go up on the farm day after school ended in Brooklyn, and we would come back 2 days before. We would go back to Brooklyn 2 days before school started. So we spent our summers on the farm with family and friends and in our old farmhouse. And I did that until I was 16 years old, and then I ended up going to school up here. And then when I retired in my early 60s, I went back up on the hill.
So were your grandparents still in the area?
No, I never met my grandparents. My mom's mom passed away when Mom was 2 years old, and her dad passed away before my sister and I were born. Her dad and Mom were both, they immigrated from Finland to the copper mines in Michigan. And they were there several years, and my mother had 4 siblings. There were 5 children. And her oldest brother was born in Michigan, and then the youngest 4 were born up on the hill here in Newfield. Her dad came, I believe it was in 1908. He bought the farm on Schaefer Road.
So it was her siblings who had the farm?
No, her dad had.
No, I mean when you were a kid.
When I was a child, it was my uncle's farm.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So what kind of farm was it?
It was a dairy farm, just cows. Sometimes chickens, but mostly cows.
So what kind of activities did you do on the farm?
Well, I grew up, I was born in 1949, so my childhood up there was in the 50s and 60s, and we never lacked for anything to do. I mean, we lived on our bicycles. We would pop tar bubbles in the road when we were kids. We'd go blueberry picking. We'd go strawberry picking. There was always something to do at night. There were a lot of children on the hill then. It was all farmland when I was a child. And so we would have baseball games at night. We would play hide and go seek. Each farmer had a pond, so we did a lot of fishing when I was young. So we never lacked for anything to do. And we had an outhouse, a working outhouse.
Which I imagine was very different from what you had in the city.
Yes, it was. And we had a sauna. And my sister, who was 2.5 years older than I, every Saturday night, my Uncle Art would come from the barn. He'd prepare the sauna, and Mom and my aunt and my sister and I would take sauna every Saturday night.
So when you say he would prepare the sauna, what would that entail?
He would just get the water heated. He had stones that he would heat and get hot, and we had to wait maybe an hour or so before the water was hot in the, I guess, water furnace is what, or water container they had in there, and it had a spout on it, and we had little benches in there, and we had a dressing room. So it was...
So was it just your mom and your sister and your aunt who did it with you, or like was there a men's shift as well? Or?
Yes, yeah, of course. yeah. And sometimes it was just me and my sister. Mom would send us in, when we were little. And sauna is a family thing in Finland. I mean, it's a very common what they used to do was, our pond was too far, but I know a lot of the old Finns, and I still think they do it, they take sauna and then they jump in the pond to cool off. And that was kind of a common Finnish thing.
So what would you do while you were taking sauna? Would you talk? Would you...
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
And wash.
And wash, okay. So, sauna is apparently a really big Finnish thing. Were there other really big Finnish things that you were doing that were distinct from your neighbors? Or?
Well, everyone on the hill, when I was growing up, Newfield had so many Finns, and they were just... I can't really, I'm trying to remember, we had, there's Juhannus, and we, Finger Lake Finns, we still celebrate Juhannus. That's Midsummer's Eve in Finland, and we always had like the bonfire. It's called a kukko, and we'd have a bonfire and a dinner, and everybody would bring a dish to pass. And we still do that here at Finger Lake Finns. It's usually the third Saturday of June, and we will bring a dish to pass, and we have a big bonfire, and so very traditional. I do believe it's one of the biggest holidays in Finland.
So, what was your favorite part about coming here as a kid?
Well, I grew up being Finnish, and I grew up in a Finnish church. I grew up in a Finnish neighborhood. I went to Imatra Hall, which was a dance hall, and I learned all the traditional Finnish dances as a child.
Here or in Brooklyn?
In Brooklyn.
Okay.
So when I came up here, I just loved that everybody up here was Finnish.
Okay, so it's basically like being home except on a farm.
The language, the Finnish dishes. Bulla is the, any Finn knows what bulla is. It's the Finnish coffee bread.
Okay.
And it's delicious.
So is that the one with the cardamom?
With cardamom, yeah, the cardamom.
Really...
and my aunt used to make, one of my sweetest memories was we'd sit on the farmhouse porch after dinner in the summertime, and my Aunt Simey would give my sister and I and my mother, and she'd have a dish of vanilla ice cream, and on that ice cream she'd have what we would call mosto Maria, which it was blackberry sauce. She'd make like a blackberry sauce out of the berries and add a little sugar and cornstarch and water and pour that on the ice cream. And that was one of my most wonderful memories.
That certainly sounds tasty.
So
what other dishes other than this amazing ice cream and the bulla?
We had gallikarua, which was cabbage rolls. I didn't love that.
So that's cabbage with rice
and meat.
Okay.
And once in a while we'd have biidakas, and that's like a pastry. It's a dough that's stuffed with meat or rice, or very common also in Finland. I'm trying to think what else there was. Of course, herring.
Not a big fan.
Not a fan of herring. So, and I do remember the Finns like to eat, at least when I was in Finland I saw this, they like to eat small meals during the day.
Oh, like grazers as opposed to...
like little open-faced sandwiches. So my mother used to do that, and Uncle Art used to like that, and Aunt Simon. Put a little cheese, a piece of meat on it, and have just little open-faced sandwiches during the day to get you through the day. So.
Sounds tasty.
Yeah.
So you said you went... In Brooklyn, you went to a dance hall where you learned traditional dances. Was there anything comparable here, or like like now you've got the Finger Lakes Finns? Was there something similar?
They have Toivo Band, which several members of the Finger Lake Finns are in the band. Richard Koski and they have dances all during the year, and traditional folk dances and. So it's a nice thing to carry on that tradition, and there will be dances here today,
Okay.
So
I know that there was a co-op in the Spencer Van Etten area.
yeah.
Was there a co-op here, or were you part of the Spencer Van Etten one?
My grandfather, they were all part of the Spencer Van Etten co-op. Our farm was on the very edge of Spencer Van Etten on Chemung County. So we had land and acres in both Tompkins County, which is Ithaca and Newfield, and Chemung County, which is Van Etten. But they did have a co-op, and my uncle belonged to it, and according to my mom, her dad belonged to it. And you know, she said it was just a good way for the Finns to make their livelihood. They would bring things in, they would buy things, they would, you know. So in fact, I believe that I may have some old shares or stocks or something from the Finnish co-op. I save all that history, you know.
That's very neat.
Yeah.
If you ever get bored of owning that, I know a place that would love to have it.
Okay.
So is there anything else that you'd like to share?
No, I think, you know, I have so many good memories of the farm, you know, and some are Finnish and some are not. And
How did your grandfather just settle on Spencer Van Etten after coming from Michigan?
I guess
from Finland.
I guess there were some Finns up here, and the land was cheap then, and he actually bought 2 farms. He bought the one where I'm living on now, and then he bought another farm across the road. He combined the 2 to make it one farm.
So which one? So the one where you live now was on the Newfield side, and the other one was in the Chemung County side?
No, the one that, you're almost right, the one that I live in now is in both.
Oh, okay.
And the one across the road is in Newfield,
Okay.
only, which is Tompkins County. So, yeah. Yeah, but I remember things like going down there when Uncle Art would be milking the cows. You know, my sister and I would go down. We went down just to see the cats that would be given the milk, you know, because he needed mousers in the barn. But, you know, just wonderful old memories.
Oh, good.
Yeah. So.
Great. Well, thank you very much.
Okay.
And,
Hope
thanks
it was
for
helpful.
playing.